What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Progeny of Gaming Podcast, Episode 1. Today, we're going to be talking about a little bit of news that's been going around for the last couple of weeks. And that is that Microsoft has acquired ZeniMax. If you don't know who they are the parent company for Bethesda Studios and about, what is it, 5 other studios on top of that. Actually, 7. Yeah, 7 studios. That's Bethesda Game Studios, ZeniMax Online Studios, id Software, Arcane, Machine Games, Tango Gameworks, Alpha Dog Games, and then Roundhouse Studios. Now, you can imagine this is quite a big development. They bought them for $7.5 billion. There's only maybe one acquisition in history, at least in the gaming industry, that has been more than that. And that was when, Tencent bought Supercell. And that wasn't even for much more than this. That was like $8 billion, I believe. Microsoft bought Minecraft for almost a third of what they spent on ZeniMax. And now they have Elder Scrolls, Dishonored, Fallout, Quake, Doom, all these games under their umbrella, and they are now considered Microsoft first-party studios. So, I mean, wow. The question of what Microsoft is going to do now has been that's really been the topic of discussion since this happened. Like, the moment this happened, everyone was wondering, are these games going to be exclusive? Are PlayStation players going to be able to ever play these games again? Now, Deathloop and Tokyo Ghostwire? Yeah, Tokyo Ghostwire. Those games are still going to be PlayStation exclusive. They were originally going to be timed exclusives anyway. It was a question if they were going to be coming to Xbox at a later date once that exclusivity deal was up. It was known that whether it did or didn't, it was going to come to PC anyway. So even if they don't port those games over to Xbox, they are still going to be coming to GamePass for PC. Now, aside from those 2 games, it is not known if any other game is ever going to be on the PlayStation or the Nintendo. There are a few ZeniMax games have been on Nintendo, like Skyrim. I think they've got Fallout Shelter. I don't believe they put Fallout 4 on there. But anyway, nobody, aside from those that were there who made this deal, know any of that. However, if you ask me, if you want to play any of these games, buy Game Pass. Because this is exactly what Netflix did when they started running out of, not necessarily running out of content, but producers that put their content on Netflix wanted better deals. They wanted more time after their product was released before it ended up on Netflix. So what did Netflix do? They started buying up already created stuff. Like, if you go on Netflix, Nanatsu no Taizai, or as it's better known over here as the Seven Deadly Sins. It's a Japanese anime, but now it's got Netflix original on it because they went ahead and bought rights to it. Now, I don't know the exact specifics into that particular show, what rights they own specifically, but that's what they did. They bought already existing IPs so that they could stream it onto their platform, and if you want to watch it, you go there. And on top of the stuff they were already making. So now, Microsoft, you can't tell me that they are not going to keep every single one of these games on their platform and their platform alone. Now, there is a caveat. Everybody is pointing to Minecraft. They acquired Minecraft, and Minecraft stayed on all platforms. Now, Microsoft did that because it was already on all platforms, right? And then you could argue, well, Minecraft Dungeons. Well, Microsoft is, and they're not secret about this. They want gamers to be able to play anywhere. However, they want everyone to play with everyone. That's why they have been pushing for cross-gen, cross-platform. So Minecraft and Minecraft Dungeons being multiplayer games, that made sense. So if you think about it, as far as all the games they just acquired. Now, we do know Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, those are staying where they are. Again, that makes sense. They are multiplayer games. So I could see games like Quake, Doom. Now, Doom is a little interesting because I could see them putting Doom or keeping it multi-platform, but I could also see them, since the single player and the multiplayer don't tie together, not really, they could actually just split that into two games. Technically, it wouldn't be two games on Xbox's side of things. It would all be one package, but they would allow PlayStation and maybe even Nintendo to have the multiplayer of Doom, and you could play that, and that would be cross-platform. Everyone would be able to play with everyone. That sounds like something Microsoft would do. And again, until the ink dries and this all happens, nobody knows exactly what they are going to do except for Microsoft and Bethesda, of course. But really, out of those games, I can't think of any single player games that they would keep multi-platform. I mean, maybe Wolfenstein or Dishonored, but I think those are far. That's a bit of a stretch. Certainly not Elder Scrolls or Fallout. If they were to make either of those multi-platform, they would honestly lose out on a bunch of subscriptions, and that is why they did this. They did this to bolster their first-party studios, their exclusives, and to make an incentive for everybody to buy Game Pass. Game Pass is on your phone, unless you're on Apple for now. Hopefully, at some point that changes. But it's on your phone. It's on your tablet. It's on your PC. If you have a gaming console, there's a high chance that you have a PC that can at least stream games. How well? Well, that's going to depend on your internet connection, but I mean, that's going to be the factor for if you're playing on a tablet or a phone as well. So, Microsoft is continuing to improve their infrastructure so that streaming games is much easier. They want to get their games into every household that they can in the easiest way possible. You don't even have to own one of their consoles to have Game Pass. Again, phone, tablet, PC. You don't have to. You don't even have to buy their new consoles. You can stick with, at least for, what did they say, the next 2 years at least. Now, at least the next 2 years, you can stick with your Xbox One, your Xbox One S, your Xbox One X, and you can still play their first-party games. They won't lock you out. Now, that means that games that have been revealed, such as Fable, one of my personal favorites, is probably at least 3 years out, which is a little disheartening, but that's all right. And then even after that happens, there's no guarantee that you won't be able to play any new games on your consoles. You can still stream. If you have Xbox, or if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can stream any game that is on that service, whether it be on your phone or your PC. They do have specific games that you can only play on PC, or trying to think. I do believe there are some titles that are specific to console that aren't on their PC side, and then they add in now with Android devices. So there will be, but the point is, you have this selection of hundreds, over 100 games that you can have at your disposal whenever you want. And let me tell you, I have played, they say they recommend 5G connection, or just a really strong internet connection if you're playing on PC. And you can find out if yours is strong enough by going through their Game Pass site. But anyway, I have played on my phone on a not necessarily unstable, but fairly inconsistent connection. And I had very few issues. You know, a little bit of lag here, some latency, but that's to be expected. And I was streaming my console to my phone. And even when I was streaming just their library of games that they have, not from my console, I had very few issues. Now, some of you may have heard, before this happened, they partnered, I guess is a good way to put it, with EA. So in fact, I believe it was announced today, as of recording, on the 29th of September. EA Play is coming to Game Pass November 10th. Now, I've only looked in the I've only looked in the EA Play once. I tried it out for a little bit. And back then, they only had one tier. But I'm hearing that they now have at least 2 tiers, a basic and a pro. And it is sounding like the partnership is allowing anyone with Game Pass will basically have EA Play Basic. And EA Play is, it's basically EA's version of Game Pass. So you are getting access. It being basic, you're not going to have access to all their titles, but you're going to have access to EA games without having to buy them or having to tack on another subscription service. I think that is something that a lot of us find ourselves... I feel like a lot of us find ourselves having 4, 5, 6, maybe more subscription services that we just pay out monthly or yearly. I know some of them do yearly. And, at one point, it just gets to be too much. All of that money, it adds up. So the fact that they are not only offering... what is it? maybe I think it's $10 for the basic version of EA Play. They're offering that as a free add-on for Game Pass. They now have acquired ZeniMax and are adding all of these games as first-party. I'm going to say exclusives for the time being. They will be at your disposal day and date that they release. And I should mention one metric to why I think they will not be releasing all, if not the majority of these games on PlayStation and Nintendo consoles is console and PC gamers make up for barely more than half of game sales. Almost half of sales are on tablet and phones. So even if Microsoft were half or even a third of the equation, the whole console equation, they have PC, they have their, let's say, third, and then they are now getting into a market that takes up almost half of the gaming industry. They're set. Even if they got a fraction of all of those gamers to subscribe, they're set. Rather than getting them all to buy one game, say let's say a month, because they have what is it now, 23 studios. So while I don't see them really releasing one game every month, let's say they do. Even if all of those guys bought a $60 game, there's no confirmation that Xbox themselves are going to be pricing their first party games at $70. We'll see. Even if they were to have all those gamers buy that game once a month, every month, that's $60. But you look at Game Pass, yes, it's right. Let's use Ultimate as an example. Yes, it's $15 a month. But you look at all of those gamers realistically weren't all going to buy a Microsoft game every month. They're just not. Maybe 2 million here, 1 million here, 5 million there. In some games, realistically, people aren't even going to check out. They'll be lucky to hit 800,000, for the smaller titles. But instead, you have, say, 20 million. Right now, they're at 15 million subscribers. Say you have 20 million. $15, just like having all these different subscription programs, your Netflix, your Crunchyroll, your Hulu, that all adds up. And that's consistent month on month. Whereas releasing a game every month, that's not a guaranteed consistent payout. So that's smart. And come on, if it was PlayStation or Nintendo who did this, hell, if it was Google or Amazon, because they're, at least as far as Game Pass is concerned, they're their only competition, and they're the only other two companies in this equation that can drop billions of dollars. If any of these other guys were to do that, it would be exclusive to their platform. At least Microsoft is allowing people to play on their phones and on their PCs along with their Xbox consoles. I think it was Bethesda, wasn't it, who said, "Don't you guys have phones?" Yeah, in fact, that was when they released Fallout Shelter, and nobody batted an eye. So that's actually kind of funny. And let's not even look at the game side of things. They've actually got a lot of talented VR and phone devs over at between Bethesda Game Studios. I know Alpha Dogs develops for iOS and Android. So I can't see why they wouldn't. This isn't a good thing. They will help Microsoft with their Game Pass infrastructure to make Game Pass a better service for those that have already bought in and for those that will. Really, I can't think of anything else to say on this matter. Yes, it sucks if you prefer to play games on PlayStation. You're not much of a phone guy, and I know that there are some people out there who strictly like playing on consoles and not PCs. However, if you really want to play these games, I don't see why it's such a big deal to compromise if you have the means of playing. Again, $15 a month, you don't even have to do it every month. You can subscribe, you can play that game that you were waiting for, maybe check out another title or two, and if it doesn't grab you, unsubscribe. That's all you gotta do. Yeah, that's basically all I can say. Game Pass is, I mean, I've always thought it was a good deal, and now it's just becoming an even better deal. It really is the best deal in gaming, and for the time being, it doesn't look like that's going to change. And again, should that change, all you got to do is unsubscribe. But I honestly think Microsoft, and if you look at this, with this acquisition, they didn't reveal any games coming out at all, really. I mean, Doom Eternal, a game that's already coming out, is coming to Game Pass in a couple of days now. It's coming out on October 1st. And more and more Bethesda, ZeniMax, these games are going to follow suit. But other than that, they have not revealed any new games, which tells you they're not necessarily worried about the initial launch of their console. They're not even necessarily worried about selling you a console. Again, they are giving you so many avenues to play, and at quite a few different, a range of prices that will make many people happy, really. I mean, you don't have to shell out $500, $400 for a console. You can just use your phone and pay $15. And they also do have that all access, Xbox All Access for $24.99, or I think the other one was $34.99. So even that's a good deal. We're all used to those phone plans. If you've got, like, say, Sprint, or I think T-Mobile still does that, Verizon. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I honestly think it's the best deal in gaming, and I know I'm not the only one saying that. And if you want to play a Bethesda title after Tokyo Ghostwire and Deathloop come out, again, like I was getting into, Microsoft isn't worried about the immediate launch of these consoles. They are planning for the future. You've got, unfortunately, yes, Halo was delayed, but as far as we know, it's still coming out next year. On top of that, now with the Bethesda acquisition, you've got, Elder Scrolls 6 is probably at least 3-4 years out, because they did say they're waiting on Starfield. But now, Starfield, we could potentially, I mean, today leaks were coming out, so who knows, maybe in the next couple days we'll get information on when, even just a year, maybe next year or 2022, I don't know, that's my guess. And I know Bethesda especially is notorious for their janky engine. Well, they said that it's getting an overhaul, and with Microsoft backing them, I see not only that engine with its overhaul being leaps and bounds better than what they're currently working on, but the games that they have on that also being leaps and bounds better than the games that we've come to know already. But anyway, I'm just going to keep going into a rant about this because it's all anyone's talking about. It's all I've been able to talk about for days. Yeah, I'll just end that here. As you know, it is what it is now. But anyway, that's gonna be me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on later on YouTube, everyone who wants to can leave me feedback at Bloodwolf Reaper on Twitter. That's, at least for the time being, that is where I am most likely to see it, and that's where I would prefer it. As this podcast is just starting out, all feedback is welcome. I'll take it all under consideration. And I love, what's the word? I'm no stranger to critical reviews and harsh critiques. I went to art school, so. But anyway, like I said, that's gonna do it for me. I really hope to see you guys next time, and until next time, just be nice. All right.